Your unauthorized hedges violate Section 3, subsection A. They must be removed by Friday.
I assure you, my landscaping is fully compliant with all standing bylaws.
The first thing I heard was metal clanging and my car alarm screaming in the cold air. I ran out barefoot, breath turning white in the morning, coffee smell still stuck to my hoodie. Our long brick driveway was blocked by a thick chain wrapped around a steel post the HOA had planted overnight. Big silver padlock. Fresh spray paint on the asphalt still burned my nose. A bright orange sign hung off the chain in ugly block letters. Pay past due assessments or vacate in 48 hours. I just stared at it, keys in my hand, car trapped, heart pounding. I live in a 12-bedroom stone mansion, but in that moment I felt completely cornered. I stood there shivering on May 3rd, 2024 at 7:12 a.m. It hit me what this really was. Not a fee issue. A power play. The HOA president, Karen with the perfect bob cut and a stack of clipboards, had been itching for a showdown since I refused her demand for a $10,000 beautification contribution. Now she had literally locked me in my own home. This whole circus could have been the title of a movie. HOA padlocked the mansion driveway for 48 hours, pay or leave. Had no idea I am their judge. That was the fight. Control versus the law. Her rules versus the actual rules that I pulled on shoes and marched to the HOA office by the clubhouse. The air inside was icy and smelled like copier toner and burnt coffee. Karen sat behind the desk, pearls, red lipstick, and a smirk. I told her calmly the chain had to come off. My driveway is not common property. She slid a manila folder toward me and said I was delinquent on 3 made-up violations and a special assessment for holiday lights I never put up. I asked to see the bylaws. She shrugged. Board decision, she said. Pay or leave. Behind me, 2 neighbors waited for their own meetings, eyes glued to the floor, pretending not to hear. I tried to reason with the board members in the back room, but the door closed in my face. One of them whispered, "Don't push her, she'll call the cops again," like they were talking about a wild animal. Fine, I thought. You want official? We can do official. I walked home past the locked gate, chains clinking in the wind, and I drew my line in the sand. No cutting chains. No screaming matches. Only proper channels. I sat at my dining table that night, oak polished, laptop open, and began my own war. First, documentation. Timeline item 1, April 5th at 4:27 a.m. false trespass call. That was when Karen reported my landscaper as a burglar. Then the bogus parking tickets. Then the letters threatening liens. I lined up photos, emails, and call logs in a binder. I filed a written complaint with the City Code Office and another with the state agency that oversees homeowner associations. Patterns of false reports can be prosecuted. I knew that better than she did. The next week, I went down to City Hall. The lobby smelled like old paper and lemon cleaner. I asked for all police calls related to my address and the HOA for the last 12 months. When the clerk finally brought the stack out, the file landed with 63 pages. 10 calls from Karen alone, all petty. Noise complaints about my kids swimming at 6:00 p.m. A report that my Christmas guests were gang members because they wore black coats. I scanned each report, highlighting her exaggerations. 11 complaints to the HOA about me, every one marked, resolved by warning, none supported by actual violations. Every line was another brick in the case. By the time I was done, the binder was 3 inches thick and my anger had cooled into something sharper. Strategy, what Karen didn't know, what almost no one in the neighborhood knew, was what I did every weekday at 9:00 a.m. I am an administrative judge for the city's property and code enforcement hearings. I don't handle murders or big trials. I handle messy little wars like this. I never mix my job with my home life. Ever. So when the letter went out months later summoning the Willow Ridge HOA to a mandatory hearing for abuse of authority, I did not put my name on anything. A different judge started the process. But then that judge had a conflict and the case was reassigned to me. I checked with ethics, laid out every detail. Because the HOA was the respondent and I was simply one of many residents in the complaint, I was cleared with strict instructions. Be fair, be transparent. Keep everything on record. The day of the hearing, the room filled fast. Neighbors packed the benches. Someone whispered, "Is this about the chain?" Phone slid out, cameras ready. My binder sat on the clerk's table, edges worn, tabs sticking out. Karen swept in with her lawyer, wearing a bright blue blazer and that same smug look. She was mid-rant about frivolous residents when she finally looked up at the bench and saw me in the robe. Her face went gray. Her lawyer blinked twice like his brain had frozen. The clerk called the case number. I stated for the record that I lived in the community, that multiple households had filed complaints, and that all evidence would be weighed equally. The room went silent. Then a low buzz of "oh" rolled through the crowd. Karen had no idea I am their judge until that second. The humiliation came in slow motion, and every step was lawful. The city investigator played audio from her calls. In one, she told police I was blocking emergency access when my car was parked perfectly in my own driveway. In another, she insisted the neighborhood kids were dealing drugs when it was lemonade on the corner. Cameras zoomed in as the investigator laid a photo on the screen. My chain-locked driveway, the orange sign, the fresh post drilled into my private easement without any permit. The investigator explained the simple rule: an HOA cannot block a resident's legal access to their home, especially not to force payment in a dispute. The city attorney recommended fines, mandatory training, and removal of current board members. When Karen tried to interrupt, I warned her once. Neighbors in the back snickered. One whispered, "She's getting schooled by her own judge to." In the end, the board lost. The ruling ordered the chain removed that same day, all bogus fees canceled, and a civil penalty of $5,000 against the HOA for each illegal lockout threat, 3 in total. Karen was barred from serving on any board in the city for 5 years. The crowd streamed out of the hearing room like it was a movie premiere. People laughed, showed each other clips on their phones, already talking about posting them. That night, my driveway was clear. The air smelled like wet grass after the city crew pulled the post and patched the asphalt. A few neighbors came by with cookies and awkward smiles. One older man patted my shoulder and said, "Glad someone finally stood up to her, but did it the right way." I smiled, lighter than I'd felt in months, and for the first time in a long time, the mansion felt like a home again. Please follow for more HOA showdowns like this. Do you think she got what she deserves? Comment below.